Yo.
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 Jonathan Huberto. Jonathan Huberto.
You should trust the Daryl Sutter process. Hello! Welcome back to the Puck and Stuff podcast. I'm here with my boy T-Dog over here. I'm B-Dog, and welcome back to Flames Recap. This episode is sponsored by, well, a man can dream.
Well, a man can dream that our season isn't a win-loss ratio.
Yeah, we're getting either for making playoffs and getting ripped in the first round, or we're not making playoffs at all. But T-Dog, how are you doing today?
Well, me personally, I'm doing good, Stressed out a little bit, a lot of work to do and everything with life. But you know what? That's good. You keep yourself busy. So this team trying to watch it's a little difficult. Not going to lie.
It's weird because hockey is supposed to be something you get away from life to kind of like just to watch and be happy. Yeah. But with this team this season, that is not the case at all.
But then you create a podcast where you have to do it.
Oh, I think that was our greatest mistake of our life. We've been doing this for 1 year, and we instantly realized we also have to watch Flames hockey when they're losing. But T-Dog, what do we got for today?
Well, we're going to do some Flames recap, which means we're going to recap all the problems that there are with this team.
Oh,
and
boy,
a few of the positives. There are positives. Remember, glass half full, ladies and gentlemen. We have to do this.
But no Flame can say there isn't more negatives than positives this season, for sure.
I think it's pretty much the same thing.
Same thing.
I think there's only one thing that has come out of this, which is a nice little add to the team, and that's in playing some young players for once. Jacob Peltier.
Oh,
so
I love Jacob Peltier.
We'll get into that. But besides that, it's just been a lot of inconsistency.
Honestly, yes, very true. And honestly, I quickly just recapped myself of what exactly is going on since we talked about our last game here. And so the Flames, at home, we have won 3 games and lost 4. When we were away, the Flames won 3 games and lost 4. Total record since we've been gone is 6-8. Win-loss. Pretty
much, yeah.
It's basically the same problems.
And the problem is you can't, even though we're getting a whole bunch of brownie points, as I call them, loser points, really. But
loser points.
You can't really make the playoffs when you're 500.
No.
Right? And then you can look in the standings where it's like we're just fighting for that second wild card, but there's games in hand with these other teams that are trying to fight for that second wild card spot. So there's a lot of work to be done.
Very much.
But glass half full, right? Remember, we have to be glass half full.
It's our hockey team.
There is still time in the season. If you get a win streak going, and I feel like I've said this every time we've won a game. I said this against the Rangers. I said this against the Coyotes.
We said it against Chicago.
I said this against Philadelphia before it was Wade Allison who scored that last goal. Yeah. But if it does happen, right, then things change. But,
oh, my God.
Things haven't changed, unfortunately, so just gotta keep going. But
just gotta keep her going.
Just keep her going, but just get her done.
Yeah, honestly.
But the Flames aren't getting her done, And I think that's something to really kind of get into as well with a lot of these games. They just cannot finish, right? Play that full 60. Especially that Vegas game. It very much seems to be the fact that they're just too scared to make mistakes when they have a lead.
Yeah, 3-1 leads this year, man. Oh my God, why do we keep blowing 3-1 leads this season?
Yeah,
why are we acting like Toronto over here? Stop it, guys. Come on, pick up your pace.
Well, I do remember last season. Of course, it's different from this season.
Very different.
But last season, I remember watching that team. And 9 times out of 10, that team. I was always confident that when they had a 2-goal lead, 3-goal lead, 1-goal lead, they could squeak it out, right? Even if it was a gritty game and that game wasn't completely like our winning in possession wise, I always felt like we could just squeak the win out. I just haven't felt confident. As soon with that Vegas game, as soon as I saw, I think it was someone on the Sportsnet crew for Sportsnet 960 said something about Flames never winning in T-Mobile Arena right before the third period. Sure enough. It happened. Now, I'm not saying that a jinx is a jinx. That's really not what it is. But I think they psych themselves out,
I think honestly, I also saw this stat when I was watching the game, and Sportsnet basically said the Flames' record against Vegas is 5-10-5, I believe, and they're saying that was one of the worst records against a team in the whole NHL so far. And that's really tough to see. That is tough
I think
to see.
I've watched the Vegas Knights 3 times or 2 times. Yeah, I've watched them like 3 times. I've only seen them win once.
Yeah.
And that was like the 2019 season.
We need to send your ass to more Vegas for Flames
Yeah,
games,
I guess so, hey. So, I think, to me, the concerning part about it is that's a Pacific Division team. You need to win those games. They're just they're a little too important. A lot of those games are really 4-point games, if you think about it, and I think this is a 4-point game. Not saying that you're going to catch up to Vegas in any sense, but that would... those 2 extra points, right? Or just the extra points, right? Because I guess we lost in overtime. Would have just been so nice. But it didn't happen, so...
It never happens
Move
with
on,
this
right?
team. I'm also going to mention this stat with our record. And straight out of Calgary on Instagram, shout out to this guy. I think he's great. Great content.
Yeah.
He made this one stat of day-to-day record throughout the week of how the Flames do. For say, on Sundays, the Flames are 1-0-1, so... a win and an OT loss, not bad. Mondays were 4-2-4. Tuesdays were 4-4-1. Wednesday were 3-1-2. Thursday we're 2-9-1.
Yeah, the Thursdays are the evil, man.
Yeah, we don't like Thursdays.
Oh yeah, no, that's true because that Detroit game was a Thursday. Yeah, it was a Thursday.
And then we look at Friday, we're tied 3-3, 3 wins, 3 losses, and then Saturday is our best performance, 10-2-2.
So pretty much spend your money on Saturday.
Yep, pretty much. If you're a Flames fan, you heard it here first. Only go to Saturday games. Yep. The rest, I wouldn't mind a Sunday game. You'd probably have a good chance. Same with Monday, but
not a lot of Sunday games though at the Dome. I find too,
true,
right?
True.
So.
And Wednesday, I would maybe trust Wednesday as well, but Tuesday and Thursdays and Fridays, stay away from those games for sure. So basically, there is some positives with this team, and I'm going to go right to the player's performance. And I think, honestly, Tyler Toffoli is a big name with the Flames this season that has performed very well. Same with his teammate Elias Lindholm. I think him, Lindholm, and Dubé are probably a really good structured line for the first line for the Flames this season for sure. Backlund has been performing very well. He's obviously had his moments.
But recently the Vegas change in the overtime was something.
It was ugly.
But besides that, Backlund, I want to say the past 5 games, solid.
Solid, very solid.
He
very
really
solid.
does, again, fit that third line center position.
He very much does. Huberdeau, I feel like it's finally getting comfortable with the system of the Flames. I think he still struggles every now and then, but I think with the line of Kadri and Peltier being on the second line is a huge help. 100%. Peltier has scored 4 points in his last 4 games. So I love how Peltier is playing this season.
Solid.
Like, honestly, if I wanted to go even more structured, he has played 13 games with the Flames this season, putting up 6 points with a plus-minus of -3. But, again, I think it's still that struggle of line combinations. But I think this is a good line. I really do like this line.
100%. I think Huberdeau is a great example. He is like almost a personal example of this Flames team where there's like these flashes of greatness. Where you're like, oh my gosh, like imagine.
This team could win.
Just whatever. It's like that Rangers game, those 2 Rangers games they played, one in Madison Square and the one in Calgary. I want to say the second was the second. No, it was the third. It was the first period. It was the second period. One of those. I can't remember the.
One
period
of the periods.
Just completely well structured hockey.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, if you could just keep this up, like, we wouldn't be in this mess.
Honestly, but we always do well. We always perform pretty well when we reverse the Rangers, though. That's what I feel.
Which is really nice, right? Like it's a team that you would love to have like a little handover because of how well they are, well off, and coming into that Saturday night game, they were the top team, not in the league, but wise with I think their record was like 13-2 and whatever since the start of the year. Some crazy stats. So it was kind of nice to squeak a win out of that for say. Again, Huberdeau, great flashes, but we might not get to really see his full potential till next season, till that $10 million kicks in.
Yeah, I was gonna say until the 10 mil kicks in, then you'll see him maybe be a 100-point player again.
But one thing I like is how there's a bit of goal scarcity. Right, we need to score more goals. but from people scoring goals, there's a bit of goal scarcity because you have Toffoli leading with 24 goals, Lindholm with 17, Kadri with 21, Backlund with 14, Huberdeau with 11, Dubé with 16. That's awesome.
Yeah, 20.
Dubé's going to be a 20-goal scorer, and that's exactly what we need from him.
Honestly, I would have thought Mangiapane would take a big step this season, but he still
definitely does.
really hasn't.
But
60 games played, 32 points.
just the way some players have been playing, it's kind of overshadowed.
Yeah, that might
But
be it.
again, Mangiapane has also had some great flashes. Some games he looks fantastic, and he's the best player on the ice for during his shift, right?
That is very true. That is very true.
Coleman with 12 goals, so there's a little bit of goal scarcity, but again, team does need to score more.
What I'm basically seeing is 1-goal games, getting our asses kicked, or kicking ass. So again, this season alone is like Jonathan Huberdeau. You see those great flashes where the team finally looks like it's having it together, and then completely crumbles into a little ball, and you want to just cry and fall
It's
asleep.
almost every game we lose is we're scoring 3 or goals or under.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a few exceptions like the Rangers game, and nothing. Yeah, I think the Rangers game is the Rangers game at Madison Square Garden was the only one that proves my point. Yeah, it does, because all the other games we lost, we scored 3 or less.
Well, you also got to say, so Kadri went on an interview with the Flames I would say probably a week or two ago, and they were talking about the Flames' performance and what do you think could change or what's really happening, and he's saying the team really just has to work as a team to be able to win these games, because when you even look at our playoff race right now, you have Colorado sitting in the last wild card. They're 3 games behind us, and they lead 2 points in that wild card. We're sitting outside of a wild card. 2 points.
I'm gonna pull it up here, but if I'm correct, it's still 4 games in hand.
I think it's 3. I think it just
It's
updated.
3, yeah, but it's like still those are 3 games in hand, and of course it has to be a team like Colorado that has the games in hand.
Yeah,
It just
and
makes
still
your life
2
a lot
points
harder.
behind them. We're already at
3
such
games.
3 games. Sorry,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're right.
So 3 games of separation, and you're still 2 points behind them, and that scares me because Colorado is still looking like a dangerous team this season that could still make that playoff run. And we're lacking. We're lacking very hard because, especially when you're talking 6 days from now, you're looking at the trade deadline. And you ask yourself as a
yes.
Flames fan, should this team go into the trade deadline wanting to buy or sell some pieces and get some picks? Do a retool this season. T-Dog, where are you thinking of you buying or selling this?
This one, it's and I almost feel like it's the same from even the start of the season. I never thought that you would buy, neither you would sell. Buying only if you had an outstanding season, everything was going so well, but you just knew there was a missing scoring piece, right?
Yeah.
And I still think like if you're gonna get someone, I think you gotta get us a forward depth.
No,
piece.
we don't need defensemen.
Not depth. We need
forward.
I just feel like you need, again, Pelletier is somewhat showing signs that he could fill this gap. I was thinking someone who could complement Huberdeau, because I think Huberdeau's missing his Barkov, right? That's what I think is happening. But I don't think you do anything. True Living did come out today kind of saying the same thing that I just said, where it's seeing how the team kind of is. It's like you don't want to sell off anything, right? And it really, and at the end of the day, you're in a win-now situation. I see that this team on paper, right, still has what it takes. Few things need to be switched, but I do not think that in the middle of the season it's right. I think if you're gonna make some changes and big changes at that, has to be at the end of the season, whether you make the playoffs, get bounced out first round, or whatever happens. Right?
Exactly.
That's what I think. What's your opinion?
So basically, I've kind of heard the naysayers and everyone that's a Flames fan hearing if they should buy or sell. And honestly, I'm right with T-Dog here. I don't think you have a reason to do anything. So yes, the Flames are in a win-now situation. And if you do go in, what are the chances you actually make playoffs, especially in the scenario we're in where we're obviously kind of dropping down the standings? So there is the potential maybe just use your pick and get a high rounder with it, but I don't see a reason to truly give anything away or to buy anything at this point, because even those young pieces like Pelletier, play him out through the rest of the season, because that could be a next roster spot filled already with a potential player.
100%.
And you still have Matthew Phillips sitting in the minors as well, still waiting to come up. So if you really want to, hell, I wouldn't be mad if we traded Lucic.
Well, I'm thinking
I'm
too,
just
like,
saying.
I don't know if there's value there to trade, but anyways, once the season's up, you gain $5 million in cap because of it. But what if you just fill that spot up with like Peltier?
Exactly.
Right? Then it's like think of how cheap of an alternative that is.
Exactly.
That's a pretty solid
That's a solid upgrade.
Right? I would take it, So I think that there are some things to look at, but that's kind of nice. But again, too, I don't think you want to be too irrational with the whole trade deadline thing, because I'm not saying anything's going to happen, but Seattle's on a 2-game losing streak, and we're 4 points behind them. They do have a game in hand. So say they win, then you're 6 points behind. But again, anything can happen. So I would say watch out for that. And yeah, I would say keep calm, because I think that's the only thing you can do in a situation like this where it's just not really going your way. Because if you panic, I feel like if you panic, then I think you pull Vancouver. Not trying to go against Canucks fans or the Canucks organization for that, but it's like, I think that's kind of what happened. They lost a bunch. Then it gave Alvin and Rutherford a reason to finally fire Boudreau, since they've been wanting to do that for so long. And then everything just went whatever. And then they decided to tank. But to me, the problem with Vancouver, they tanked way too late.
Yeah.
They should have tanked as soon as they saw problems. That's what I think. Anyways.
Especially with such a young core, too, with Vancouver. I was kind of shocked they went right back to tanking.
Kuzmenko signing's now so good, though. Wow.
No.
Dude, a Kuzmenko on the Flames team would be phenomenal, man. An extra 20 goals. I'm just saying.
Oh, my God, that would be great.
Goals.
No, so I think honestly, we're kind of in the situation. Remember how Winnipeg was last season, where they looked like they should have been that playoff team coming in, and then they just, completely just sunk it, you say, right?
To be fair, but their injuries were a problem. Nick Ehlers, right, was out. Shafley, I think, had a few things. And
I mean, yeah, for sure.
Who else was there as well? But I know Ehlers was the big one.
But there was still that kind of whole controversy with there was that chemistry problem, and you were already kind of having such troubles, and then you gave it a year, you drafted well, you went into free agency really well, and now look at them this season. They're one of the top teams in the Central. So, honestly, if anything, if you keep losing these games, hold on to your first, take the potential to just step back, retool with your pieces and everything. The next year, just go crazy, because you're still in a win now, but every single year of a win now situation doesn't have to be you go all in at a trade deadline. You could take a season back, do well at a draft, go through free agency with the cap you're going through, because obviously you're not paying Lucic $5 million next year. That is gone. Who knows, you still bring him back or not for cheaper, but you still have more cap room to play with, especially, which I kind of want to jump from.
And then the cap goes up by $1 more million.
Yeah, so $6 million. Then I'm also going to jump into what I'm about to say next. Next year, you have a lot to sign next year.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah, so we have Elias Lindholm, who needs to be signed next year, Tyler Toffoli, Dylan Dubé, Jacob Peltier, Adam Ruzicka, and I keep going, Nona Hanifin, Chris Tanev, Zadorov, Dennis Gilbert, and Oliver Shillington. So, yeah, honestly, take that year. Honestly, if you're going to do anything as a Flame for the Flames this year, take a step back, retool, see what you could do in the offseason, and come back better next year, because Kadri and Huberdeau will be more adapted to our strategy system, I'm assuming. Mm-hmm. And you'll, depending if you do well in the draft or you get those new pieces in free agency, you see the team a lot better next year than this year, is what I'm truly trying to say. That was a lot.
No, it's good.
That was a lot.
I don't think it makes any sense, again, to make any irrational decisions, right? Yeah. For what you say there. And if you, switch up too much, then how does that look for next season? I really do think, and maybe it's not the best thing to do, is to, really start thinking about next season, already, but to a point where it's I
think going into this trade deadline,
I don't see there really being a reason. Again, if there wasn't any signs or flashes of this team being able to produce well, then maybe a different story. But because you've seen some games where it looks solid, you just gotta stick with the hand you have and just play it out, right? Because you never know. It's funny you say about the whole Winnipeg thing. Now I just want to quickly talk back to it. I remember the start of last season, the start of it. I remember Elliot Friedman on CBC was predicting that the Jets would be the top Canadian team in the league that year, and of course, happened, right? That
Yeah.
wasn't the case at all. But it's almost similar with Calgary. Like, a lot of people had Calgary up there,
Yeah.
even with the trade. I think, honestly, a lot of us got kind of...
Caught off guard.
Me personally, I think I was just an idiot to think that, like, any player could just get onto a new team and just automatically just produce. Like, I mean, think about this whole scenario. Like, Goudreau's putting up points, but not like he was last season.
No.
Kachuk has been the best player out of this whole Flames whatever heck transaction thing.
I think it was
right?
because he went from such a good situation in Calgary to such a good situation in
Having
Florida
Barkov
with
really does help,
honestly a better center in Barkov. Like,
yeah.
Honestly, that's how I see it at least.
True. But very true. But yeah, I mean, I think you and me probably both agree, right? We probably thought that Huberdeau would fit way quicker, but it didn't happen. Shame on us.
Yeah, shame on us. I'm not going to hate on Huberdeau's contract or how much he's getting paid yet until at least the year 2 of his contract. Same with Kadri in that sense. Kadri probably after, I would say next season, then I'll judge it a little bit more. But he hasn't really done terrible in the sense of being a second-line center for the Flames. He hasn't. There's obviously tons of room for improvement, but I think overall it's still good. It's still good, could be better.
You know, I have already seen many people say, trade Huberdeau, trade Kadri.
Cool.
And this is my response. Bruh. Like, bruh. You know? Like, why?
I don't see the waste of it.
I mean,
I don't. That would just be a waste of everything you just tried doing in free agency. That would just be Brad Treliving just, like, giving up at that point.
I'm thinking of this, too. You don't sign Huberdeau, so you don't even sign him. And you do trade him at the deadline to make him a rental for another team, but he has the same season. So then what do you get back?
Picks?
You would probably lose a lot. I mean, there's still that value there, but because of the season, like, his value has somewhat diminished.
Not to like
so
when
I don't
Kachuk.
the whole trading thing, again, you have to wait it out. It's just the problem is this season's so emphasized in its struggles because of how good the team was last year and the expectations. If the expectations wasn't here, dude, think of it. If this team didn't have that expectation from the year prior, the whole story would be like, wow, like they're in a wild card position possibly. Like, look, if they keep playing like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But of course, because on paper, because of how stacked some of these players should be, and it just hasn't worked out, it's a whole different scenario. And it just seems to be a thing, right? Like, you make the playoffs one year, you don't, you do, you don't. Same thing with this whole season, right? Win one, lose one. But it definitely can get stale at times. So I think that's why it's so I don't know, mind-numbing, I guess. Maybe the word is.
And actually, so before we fully close out, there is one more topic I wanted to jump to with the Calgary Flames, and we need to talk about their goaltending, because how on earth do we sign a guy to be our starter and instantly, I would say 2 years later, now we're in an option A, option B situation again?
I don't think there's a problem for it to be an option A, B. I actually think it's good because that shows that Vladar's got he's a stud, right? But then that begs to differ. Like, I mean, this is way too much in the future, but what about the whole Wolf situation, right? Like, what would you do with that? But right now, I think, because Sutter said that you win, you're in. So he has finally gone to that 1A, 1B situation, which I am completely fine with. But yeah, it's true. I mean, the goalies do have to be better.
I think Vladar's doing great.
Vladar's been good. It's just the last 2 games have been a little iffy. But nothing that I'm not like every player is gonna have a bad game, right?
Yeah.
And like the Markstrom thing is, I'll still defend him. It's just
he's not having a good season.
It's just been tough.
15 and 14 with.
The team has not been playing good in front of him.
I mean, true. That is very true. We can't control the puck in our own zone still, and it kind of concerns me that we still haven't figured it out. Neutral zone play has been a little bit better. I've seen we break out a little bit better, and that, again, I still think that was the chemistry problem that now is finally building up with the chemistry. But it is getting slightly better with the neutral zone play and breaking out into their zone. But I'm still kind of scarce on what we do in our zone, especially defensively between our goalies. It just doesn't look that strong. And that might be the reason why our goaltending looks so iffy this year. But I still can't Markstrom is we paid him to be our starting guy, and it is kind of concerning that he had to drop to an A-B situation. Yeah. I'm not complaining with Vladar, though. He's playing great lately, but I think he just needs that step. Yeah, I don't know if the pressure's getting to him.
I see what you mean, like, you see the positive in it, but you kind of see, like, the negative outcome that could come of it, per se, or I guess is.
Yeah.
Yeah, the goalie situation, but I gotta say, too, like, just playing defense, like, some lazy plays.
Some of it
There has been some lazy plays where the puck is turned over in the neutral zone. Oh, cringe. In the neutral zone, and it's just, where's the hustle? Where's the back check, right? It's like I've seen some players like back check like it's pawn hockey.
Oh god.
Like pawn hockey's pawn hockey. Like just trying to
But this is actual professional hockey we're talking about here.
So I think there's some problems with that, and then I don't think too when you are a pretty penalized team and taking really dumb penalties, then, right, that's always gonna, because our PK hasn't been the greatest as well. I mean, it's better than a power play.
Our PK is actually, I think, top 10 in the league, and I think our power play is 25th in the league.
I just feel like the PK hasn't been as solid recently as well, right? Again, like,
I mean, in the last few games, yes. In the last few games, I'll agree with that.
So, again, the whole thing over has been good, bad, good, bad. Now that I think about it right now, and this is unacceptable. The fact that you let the Coyotes have 16 shots and you let 3 in.
Okay, that was
like brutal. Now that's a problem. Like genuinely that's a problem because what if it wasn't the Coyotes?
I think
it could be a different game.
I mean, true. That is very true because we did have to put almost 50 shots just to get 6 goals on them.
Yeah,
and we almost
free Vejmelka.
Yeah,
I understand.
That is kind of scary, but I think we are still on the. Oh my god, this team is so mid this year. It's so hard to talk about them because there's so many
ups and downs.
Ups and downs that you're kind of like, oh, you don't know. It's like stocks. You don't know if it's going to just plummet out of nowhere or keep going up. And honestly, I would love to see a win streak from this team. And I feel like if Markstrom can't truly get it together next year, there has to be talks of possibly getting Wolf in next year. That's what I feel like is a conversation that we're getting to. Because if you look at Dustin Wolf, he's one of the top AHL goalies this year. And honestly, for the last 2 years, I would probably say.
AHL also, it was Phillips, but Wolf had some sort of honorary thing. But he's been completely solid. And you just look at how the Wrangler season is. The Wrangler season is like it's.
They're playing solid.
I don't think without Phillips and Zari and they got veteran leadership too, of course. But Wolf's goaltending's just been pretty solid. And yeah, I actually hope that he gets in and plays a game during the last few games of the season. I'd love to see him play his first NHL game this season. Just 1 or 2, see how he does. It probably won't be with the actual full roster because they'd probably be sleeping guys if playoffs commence, if we actually get to the playoffs. But you're right. Like, if Markstrom or any goalie at that, doesn't really look too solid next season, yeah, I think it's Wolf's turn. And please do, because if you don't play Wolf eventually, what do you do, right? So
yeah, because honestly, if this Markstrom or Vladar situation is still not working either way, there is a big talk of bringing up Dustin Wolf. And I actually wanted to talk about that. So the Calgary Wranglers, I just searched this up, is top in their division. They're number 1 in their division. Yeah. Dustin Wolf this season has 30 wins, 7 losses, and 2 OT losses with 4 shutouts, a goals against average of 2.23, and a save percentage of 928.
Solid numbers.
That just shows me that we have a very good prospect goalie sitting in the minors waiting for his opportunity.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for my goalies in our National Hockey League to still figure it out. So
yeah,
it's good to hear that we do have that potential prospect goaltender to bring up, but that's still concerning to me that our NHL goaltending is still can't fix itself.
Yeah, for sure. That it is nice to know that prospects are promising. There are some promising prospects.
Very, very promising. And honestly, I think that's all we have to talk about for Flames recap. Thank you guys so much for watching today. I hope you guys did enjoy this. Please leave a like, leave the comment, and please subscribe. We hit 200 on YouTube.
Thank you very much.
Let's go. Thank you very much, boys, for that. And T-Dog, take it away.
Alrighty, like B-Dog said, thank you guys very much for watching, listening, however you are consuming this content. If you guys did enjoy it, leave a like, leave a comment, all that good stuff. Question of the day for ya: what should the Flames do at the deadline? Buy, sell, do nothing? What do you think? But anyways, guys, keep on rocking in the cold, freezing February world, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.